The night had fallen heavy upon the old family house as John entered, carrying the weight of nostalgia and reluctance. The worn wooden floors creaked underfoot, echoing the whispers of generations past. His parents' recent passing had left him the sole inhabitant of this place, the keeper of its history and secrets. The air was thick with memories, both sweet and haunting. As he wandered through the dimly lit corridors, John felt a shiver crawl up his spine. The ancestral portraits on the walls seemed to watch him with their stern, unyielding gazes. He was alone, yet the house seemed to pulse with a hidden presence. Every corner seemed to hold a whisper of a forgotten conversation, a trace of laughter and a flicker of sorrow. In the attic, amidst forgotten belongings, he stumbled upon a box. It was old and dusty, its contents a mix of childhood toys and mementos. His heart skipped a beat when his fingers brushed against something smooth and cold. Retrieving it, he found himself holding a doll, a porcelain doll with piercing blue eyes and a delicate faded dress. A chill ran down his spine as he gazed at the doll's eerie expression. It was as if those glassy eyes held 1,000 secrets, locked away behind their lifeless veneer. John's mother had always been fond of collecting dolls, but he had never seen this one before. Perhaps it had been stored away and forgotten long ago. The moon cast an ethereal glow through the attic window, illuminating the doll's features in an unsettling manner. John felt a strange compulsion to take the doll downstairs, to place it among the other belongings he was sorting. He brushed off his unease as irrational and descended the creaking staircase. Days turned into weeks, and the presence of the doll became a constant companion. John couldn't shake the feeling that those glass eyes followed him wherever he went. He found himself talking to it as if the doll were more than just an inanimate object. It was as though it held the weight of the house's history within its porcelain frame. One night, as rain drummed against the windows, John awoke to the sound of faint, mournful laughter. Startled, he sat up and scanned the room, his heart racing. The doll sat on a shelf across the room, its eyes seemingly alive with a malevolent glee. He could swear he saw its lips move, its expression shifting from serene to sinister. Unable to shake off his growing unease, John reached for the doll and placed it in a drawer. But as soon as he closed the drawer, a gust of wind seemed to blow through the room, and the doll was back on the shelf, its glassy eyes fixed on him. Panic surged through him, and he grabbed the doll once more, this time wrapping it in a cloth before locking it in a cupboard. But the doll's presence lingered, its influence seeping into John's thoughts. He found himself plagued by nightmares, visions of a lifeless porcelain figure chasing him through the corridors of the house, its laughter echoing in his ears. Sleep-deprived and consumed by paranoia, he decided to rid himself of the cursed doll once and for all. With trembling hands, John carried the doll outside, determined to bury it in the garden. The night was dark and foreboding, as if the universe itself was protesting his actions. Digging a shallow grave, he lowered the doll into the earth, covering it with soil. But as he turned to leave, the wind picked up, and the laughter of the doll seemed to fill the air. Fleeing back into the house, John slammed the door shut, his heart pounding in his chest. He thought he had escaped the doll's malevolent grasp, but the laughter persisted, echoing through the halls. The doll's curse had woven itself into the fabric of the house, a haunting reminder of its enduring power. Weeks turned into months, and John's mental state deteriorated further. He became a recluse, consumed by fear and paranoia. He could no longer distinguish between reality and the doll's insidious influence. The once familiar house had transformed into a labyrinth of dread, and the doll's laughter was a constant torment. And then, one fateful night, John's exhausted mind gave way. As the laughter reached a crescendo, he collapsed to the floor, his sanity unraveling. In his delirium, he thought he saw the doll standing over him, its expression shifting from malice to pity. He reached out to touch it, his fingers brushing against its cold surface. The next morning, the police arrived at the old family house, responding to reports of a disturbance. Inside, they found John's lifeless body, a look of terror etched onto his face, and in his hand he clutched the cursed doll, the source of his torment, a vessel for the house's haunting legacy. The house stood silent once more, its walls holding the echoes of a tragedy that transcended the realms of the living and the dead. And in the attic, the doll sat in its box, its glassy eyes glinting in the sunlight, a reminder of the darkness that could be awakened with a single touch.